says it's still starting, so
Oh, okay.
here we go. Welcome everybody to this chat, which I have titled, "Oh, there's a whole bunch of people here. Thank you so much for coming." It's like
That's
having
good.
a party and not knowing who's showing up. Thank you all. So this is the title of our brief chat today is You Can Make Wonderful Art. And I've always spelled wonderful, wonder, and then the word full, Full.
Yes.
So, yeah, for years and years, it's just like it's been scrawled in my bathroom wall, through different places I've lived, like to invite people to do graffiti in my house, like
Oh,
when they're in the bathroom and I'd have art supplies in there. I don't have it here in Paris because I'm in a furnished rental. It's not my own space, but
what a great idea. I love that idea.
yeah, I would write, "Tell me something wonderful," and then people could just do graffiti on my bathroom wall.
Ah,
Um, it never gets
that's
old,
unique.
Yeah, I'll pause. Oh, there's hearts coming in, yay. So actually everyone can do that in the chat if you want. Share something wonderful, and also, if you wanna make wonderful art, what questions do you have about that? What's been keeping you stuck? Or, how did you get unstuck if you're not stuck? So I think these are um,
You
perennial questions.
and you're an expert in those, working with yourself and also extending your knowledge on how to do that to groups that you're facilitating and
Mm,
showing them how wonderful making art is without pressure, without wanting to like produce a result, but just doing it for the feeling of it mostly. Is that correct?
absolutely. Doing it for the fun of it,
Yeah.
which I think is something that's gone lost, especially analog things. Actually, let me just see if I can turn my. Okay, this is my organized chaos. But you see here, I have a bunch of sketchbooks.
Yeah.
So, what I like to encourage people to do is keep a sketchbook, a notebook as a creative practice. And to keep it private, like a diary, like here are some of mine here. I've just got piles and piles of them.
Beautiful.
And they are the leaping off place for everything else we want to do as creatives. And I did this a long, long time before I figured out what it was actually doing for me because no one taught me about it. It was just something I did really to soothe myself.
Mm,
And then, over all the years and years, it's developed, and it's been something I've really enjoyed facilitating, with others for a long time, starting out being an art therapist and then teaching public workshops. So, creating so let me come back to this idea of wonder for a second.
yes.
So
Yes.
if it's okay, if everyone's game. Oh my gosh, there's so many people here. Okay, now we have
Ah,
stage fright. It's so great. I guess it helped to actually announce it ahead of time. Before, I just was, like, too chicken and just said, "Okay, let's go live now." Like, there wasn't really any notice. Um, so Gudrun and I are being brave and showing up. And thank you all too for coming.
for joining
So,
us.
yeah, so I love going to museums and looking at other artists' work. It's an endless source of inspiration. It fills my creative well. And when I was at the Matisse exhibit recently, there's a really nice one in Paris right now, mostly on his paper collages, which are it's hard to pick a favorite, but I just love that era of his life, the end of his life. That's how he was creating.
Hmm.
And when I was in the exhibit, I'm immersed in what I'm looking at. But at a certain point, I just had this moment where I looked around just at the people in the museum, like in the room, and everyone had this expression on their face I would describe as awe.
Hmm.
And like, you know,
Oh, I
a
feel
a
that.
lot of the
Yes.
people a lot of people in the group were, senior citizens. And they had this sense, it looked like childlike wonder and innocence on their face. And that really captivated me, for a time as much as the exhibit, because I was just wondering, like, I wonder what they're thinking and feeling. But just to see that look on their face, it's like, how often do we get to experience that?
Yes.
And that's what can happen every single day when you open your sketchbook and you let yourself create without any pressure and without any judgment, without trying to make a product,
Mhm.
where you fall in love with the process, meaning the feeling of a luscious ink pen going across the page, or the
Mhm.
sensation of your pencil dragging across the paper, or crayon or paint. So at the beginning, and anytime you want to return to that, come back to the beginning. That's like one of my tricks I'll give you, is whenever you feel kind of lost, like, just go back to what made you fall in love with art in the first place. And probably you can remember, the smell of your crayons when you were a child, or making a mess with paint. And so that's what we're doing in our sketchbooks. And
I love
um,
it.
yeah, and it might not seem like anything's happening, so what's the
Mhm.
benefit of this? What is it doing? But to get yourself into a state of wonder and joy, to me, honestly, like, that's the challenge in a way, like, to stay and kind of, or to get myself into an elevated frame of mind, where I'm not worrying so much about the things of the world, or challenges of life that are always there. But in the moment, having an opportunity to come back to something that matters to me, that I don't have to explain to anyone else.
Mhm.
Like, sometimes at this point, I feel like I'm just rambling a lot, so I don't know if any of this is
No, no,
making
you're
sense.
not. No, let me just say every word you say is so beautiful, and I think everybody can relate to it. The only where I'm curious is you said I did this initially to soothe myself, and I would like to know more about that. What did you encounter when you started that dialogue with yourself? What, yeah, just curious about that.
Oh, yes. So it's a longer story for sure, and that's what I write about every week on my
Mhm,
Substack, The Art of
mhm,
Creative Practice, talking about this journey. And I started blogging about this back in 2002. I won't shut up about it. But to in brief, let's see how I would describe it. I would say that around me in my life, I had a very chaotic and difficult childhood. It was like, just filled with a lot of trauma, and it wasn't fun. It wasn't pleasant. And so, but there was something that I loved so much, and it was
mhm,
books and reading and art, and anytime I could get my hands on art supplies, I just loved that. And very early, okay, I can tell you this quick story about getting my first sketchbook. What I didn't know what it was, but my grandfather, who I lived with when I was really little, he also put into me this love of books and reading, and he was a person who said, anything you want to learn, you can find it in a book.
mhm,
And I took him literally. It was always reading, but we would go to the Salvation Army and get used books there. And I remember him saying, "You can pick out any book you want." And he wandered off to go browse, and I was in, like, I don't know where I was, like a children's book section, maybe, if they had such a thing. But I saw kind of like a big, mail cart full of, like, piled high with books, and I just started digging through there, and there was a blank diary in there. And I
mhm,
had to be, like, I don't know how old I was, 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old. I'm placing myself in time back where I would have lived at the time. So, not older than 8, but
mhm,
probably younger. And I found this blank diary, and I remember just wanting it so bad, not knowing what it was for, what I was gonna do with it, but I just was so compelled, like, I wanted it, wanted it, wanted it. And I also second guessed myself thinking, oh, this is such a weird thing. Like, why would, if my grandfather said I could pick out any book I want, why would I pick a blank one? This is just weird. And so I kept wandering around, like trying to find like a backup book or a book that I thought
Mhm.
would be more appropriate or something, like my overthinking journey started like right off the bat.
Ah!
And I remember, like, being really embarrassed about him wanting this blank book for whatever reason, and then we got to the checkout, and I had, like, the backup appropriate children's book, and then I had this blank diary, and, like, I just stuck the diary on the little checkout stand there, and, my grandfather didn't say anything to me, he didn't even really notice what I was getting. But it was like this leap, and then it's like, "Ooh, what do you do with these?" And I remember someone in the family making some comment like, "What are you gonna keep a diary about? What do you need a diary for? Like, you're even too young
Mhm,
for that," or whatever. And I didn't know, but then that made me just wanna keep it very secret and very
mhm.
private, and I didn't really have written thoughts at that time, but I love to draw and color, so I just started drawing in it, and ever since then, I've always had blank books that I drew in, and then I did start journaling, but I've always journaled with images, words and images together, which I thought was super weird and kept it very private.
And what was the experience if you just, I mean, you were at that time, you were so young, but when you grew up, how would you describe the power of that helping you through difficulties and then also making that your voice, basically?
Well, again, like, you can't at I didn't know what I was doing when I was doing it other than, um, it was very soothing, and in grade school, I'd read The Diary of Anne Frank, and I think
Mm,
that's what gave me the idea that a young
mm,
girl could keep a diary. Um, and that just really impacted me a lot, and then from then on, I think then I started seeking out then but by the time I was a teenager, started seeking out other people who kept diaries and published them, especially, all women. I was reading women writers who kept diaries, just, like, kind of trying to find evidence, but how it helped me was, um it gave me a place to just kind of dump all of my thoughts and feelings and ideas, um, and I didn't really know why it made me feel better, it just made me feel better. And then, in my early 20s, I was living in Chicago, and I took a workshop with Julia Cameron, author of The Artist's Way,
mhm.
and, this was before she wrote that book, so this
Oh,
was, like,
wow.
way long, long ago in a kingdom
How
far
cool is
away.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, it had to be like 30 years ago or no, 40 years ago. I don't know,
Mm,
really long time. Not quite 40, but it was just before she published The Artist's Way. She didn't have a book yet, but she had a little flyer hanging up in a bookstore about her class, and I went to that and sat in a circle with like 6 people and her. And she said, like, the first assignment or the only assignment for this class is that you just keep a journal and write stream of conscious 3 pages every day and call it she called it brain dump at the time.
mhm,
It's she wasn't calling them, whatever they're called now, artist pages or morning pages, they're called. That got changed in the book, but she called it brain dump. And I thought, "Oh my gosh, I found my home because 'cause I've been doing this all along and thought it was so weird, and now I'm finding someone else who also does something similar and is giving me permission to do what I'm already doing. Maybe it's not so weird after all." And Julia talked very openly about her journey, to sobriety and that she was
mm,
in 12-step program, and, it was like a way that she, helped her stay on her sobriety path. And I thought, yeah, it's doing something for us that helps us in all these very indirect ways stay on a path that's important to us. I didn't know what my path was or what I was finding, like
mm,
anyone who feels lost in the woods, which is a creative path because it's not laid out. More and more and more, I think about how, um, I've always said creativity takes courage, but, I think it takes more courage as the years go on. Like, there is a relentless kind of willingness or going kicking and screaming into, like, continual uncertainty as a
Mhm.
as a person doing creative work. You never know, like, when your next job's coming from or how you're gonna magically manifest the next gig or if when you put your work into the world that's come out of your heart and your mind, you don't know how people are gonna respond to it or react to it. It's just completely unknown, like, that does not get easier.
Mm.
But it does the unknown becomes known, and you're like, "Okay, yeah, I'm in this quagmire," you know? "Hang in there, just keep going." It's normal to feel, like, completely bewildered.
That's beautiful that you said this with being in the woods, because I just saw today on social media somebody talking about when you feel lost and you feel like you're lost in the woods, that's not the time to go for action and try to fix it. That's when you just stand still and you notice what's around you. You see the trees and you take them in for what they are, and you start to be in a dialogue. You slow down. And I think what we're taught all the time is when there is a challenge of any kind, it's go do something, fix it, do this, do that. But it seems to me, and please tell me if that's not so, but when you do a journaling and a creative journaling, you actually spend time with your state of being. You just be still and you explore instead of doing something about it, like trying to solve it.
Yes. Yes, you're reminding me of, a really beautiful poem, actually,
Huh?
about that. It's called "Lost," and I have it written down in one of my journals, but, yes, I was trying to find it and I can't, so I don't wanna get off track. It's in there somewhere. But, yes, other artists and poets, there and writers and people who talk about things on Substack, we're all in this together, and I
Mm.
think we're all, like, laying out little breadcrumbs for each other to follow, so we don't have to feel so alone and so lost, like, "Okay, your path is your path that, will have a lot of uncertainty and fear and procrastination, resistance, and, all the things like um, doing creative work, stirs up,
Yeah.
and we're not alone in it. We're really, like, doing the work alone, but we're in this together, which is why coming to a workshop, being part of a workshop, um, that has also been something that has helped me tremendously, is going and finding like studying with Julia all those years back and finding teachers, finding other people to sit in circles with and do this together. It's
Yes.
huge. It is such a gift.
Magic, magic, magic. And you
Mhm.
also mentioned in a conversation we had, you were saying that I give the same materials to everybody. And yet it's absolutely astounding how each person has their own voice and is unique with exactly the same materials, but everyone is doing something different with it.
That's exactly right. So, for example, boy, this is a big, messy tray of art supplies, but like, whoop, whoop. So, you know, here's here's the green tray. I rainbow all my art supplies. That's something else. This is my nervous system. But in a workshop, I lay out all the materials in a rainbow, all the different art supplies, all the materials. And that's really fun. When people walk into the workshop space, they have that wondrous feeling on their face, like, "Oh, someone has set the table for the artist within me, and all I have to do is just show up and
Oh,
play." And, even though I'm giving we're all using the same exact materials, and we're starting from the same blank pages, and I'm, offering the same kind of creative prompts and exercises to do, every single person will have a completely different sketchbook at the end of it that is completely their own. And that is how you find your own voice. Like, it's
Mm.
there. It's not something to find, it's, like, more like something to unleash or release out of you.
Yes, yes.
You have your own way of making marks, and, we have so like, hang-ups about all this, but I promise that, it always works, you know? You fall in love with the way you write and the way you paint and the way you do your thing, and if I had said, for example, "Okay, Gudrun, now just trade sketchbooks with Mark, and then you take home each other's," you would die. You'd be like, "No, I want mine. I'm in love with mine," you know?
Right, right. Yes, exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
And then it's also so clear that we are enough. Like each of us is unique, and that's enough. You don't have to prove anything.
No, with like, there's a when you're involved in the act of creating without having the product in mind. So, like, I talk a lot about the process versus the product. The product would be if we came to an art class and I said, "Okay, everyone's gonna paint a still life," you
Hmm.
know, and you want it to look like my example to teach it, you know? That's product, but a process is, "Hey, here's some art supplies. Here's some suggestions on confronting the blank page." And then you go inside yourself and, I give people ways of doing this and kind of like, it's more like archaeology, like excavating something, like, "What's really got my curiosity and attention lately? What am I just kind of minorly obsessed about lately?" Maybe it's just, like, scribbling circles or, um, you saw something somewhere, it really captivated you, and so we use those things that are capturing our attention, or maybe it's like the reason I came to this retreat in Italy is, like, I needed a break. Something stressful was going on at home, wherever I came from, and I just wanted to do something for me, right? Which is something, that I get like, a lot of people are in caretaking roles, or really intense work situations, and they just need a break. But a vacation on the beach with margaritas isn't quite gonna do it. It's more like, I wanna do, like, invest some time and energy into what matters to me, something meaningful, but I don't wanna have to figure it out, and I don't wanna do it alone.
Hmm.
Yeah, so, sorry, I think I'm, like, getting off track, but we are enough, like, whatever you bring to the workshop experience, whatever you're bringing to the blank page is what you've got to work with, and it is tremendous. It's not only enough, it's kind of like everything.
Yes.
We have, like, all these treasures inside us. We have everything. We just need someone, sometimes to, say, "Yes, yes, yes." It's like a permission slip. It's, "You got
Yes,
this. You
exactly.
can do it."
And then being in a group and having this group dynamic is also another permission slip, like you said. It's just like it opens a bubble of space and time.
Yes, a group, uh, situation, a group workshop is like a moment in time that will never happen again, and
Yes.
I think of it kind of like, if I may, it'd be like going off, like, to this love affair adventure, like a place you love or
Mm.
have always wanted to go with people you love, you just haven't maybe met them with, or maybe you've, like, stalked them online a little bit. And you're gonna meet people like all my best friends in my life have come out of workshops, either taking them or, participating in them. I have to say hi to Dolores, who's here, because we met in a workshop, like, at least 30 years ago, and have been, workshopping from time to time ever since, and Blythe, who's here. I love it. So, I really value that long-term relationships and connection that happens through our creativity. And for people just saying, "Oh, yeah, I'm exploring some deeper themes and subjects that aren't all neat and tidy all of the time."
Mhm.
A lot of times, I mean, I think of my work almost like very appealing to people who like browsing secretly in the self-help section.
Which is everyone, almost
Well,
everyone.
I don't know, like, yeah. But yeah, like searching, having a growth mindset, in other
Hmm.
words. Like you're always
Yes.
like learning something, reading something, exploring something. Yeah,
And then doing it in a museum.
doing it in a
And
museum
doing
and
it in Italy, where you just for the lunch break, you just walk down the steps, turn the corner, and you are in the middle of the most amazing food and this beautiful environment. I mean, that is luxury. That's really treating yourself to something special.
I'm glad you're mentioning the workshop because I'm completely terrible about, "Oh, yeah, here's what we're talking about." I didn't even put a link in the chat. I'm gonna do that now. Um, yeah, I am my own marketing department there. Gudrun and I are teaching together in Italy. It's called Voice and Vision. And Gudrun and I have done some other lives here on Substack that you can scroll down in our feeds and see uh, or listen to what we've been talking about. Some of the other sessions have focused on how Gudrun uses the voice and, embodying sound. And so today she's like, I think you should just talk about what you do a little bit. So
Exactly, because it's
that's what we're doing
fascinating.
here.
And I cannot wait to be part of the workshop and be in your workshop. You're part of the workshop. You're working in the morning. I'm working in the afternoons after the lunch break. And literally, I'm as excited as anybody who would come and sign up to do this with you in the morning, and then I facilitate in the afternoon. So we're like really hands on in the middle of all of it together.
Yeah.
That's
And you're
cool.
coming from New York City,
I'm coming from New York.
um, which Gudrun's originally from Germany, but is a New Yorker now because
Yes.
she's lived in New York a
Well,
really long time. And I'm coming from Paris, much closer. But yeah, I just moved here last year from Mexico, where I lived 14 years. I'm an American, but I have a Mexican residency. And then I thought, I'm going to live in Europe for a while. Let me see what that is. Talk about the unknown. Um, we'll see. Yeah, I just went through my visa renewal process. We'll see if France will keep me. I'm having a lot of nightmares about that, but it's
they
the
would be
unknown.
really stupid not to keep you.
Yeah, let's
But
contact the government. Let the
but thank you
Um,
so much for sharing all of this. This was very rich and really inspiring. And I
it's
and
fun.
I
Yeah,
think
it's so fun.
everybody can hear how much this is your world and how much you bring into it because you're immersed and in love with all the other art. It's so easy to get like to tap into that stream that you have, and I'm really excited.
My favorite thing ever is helping people go from wherever they are, point A, wherever they are in their creative practice, and then going somewhere else they want to go. It's totally
Yeah.
possible. You've got everything you need to do it. There is a way. There's lots of tools. Gudrun and I both have like lots of tricks. We both have spent a lifetime in the arts, making our living in the arts. Um, it's not all unicorns and rainbows, but there is some of that. There will be
Mhm.
gelato. There'll be gelato in Italy and pizza.
Yes, of course. And
I was
tiramisu.
tiramisu. I was going to ask you, what's your favorite thing to have for lunch in Italy, and then we can go because that's important.
I love this as a parting note.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can. Oh my God, you make me choose. Well, in Frascati, where we will be, there is a hole in the wall pizzeria. It's so small, but the baker comes up every week with new creations, and it is creative and so tasteful and so. I mean, just to go see him every time I'm there, I will try the new creations, and they're just absolutely delicious. And I love his creativity. So I would say going to have a pizza in his place, that is probably my favorite. Yes.
I'm so glad you said pizza because I was gonna say pizza. I do love pasta so much, but I don't know if for those of you who have not been to Italy, we just have to tell you to expect when you order a pizza at a restaurant in Italy, it's for you. Everyone orders their own individual pizza, which is like a large pizza, like it would be like if you ordered a large pizza in the US to share. No, 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 no. Um, you know, every like, that blew my mind. The first time I saw that, I was like, "How am I gonna eat all this?" And everyone's, like, with their fork and knife eating their whole entire pizza.
Yes. But then there's also really healthy food, like where we are. If you don't want
Mhm.
to have wheat and gluten
Cheese?
products, there
Yeah,
are a lot of really great, also wonderful tasting vegetable dishes, and you
yeah,
can choose. So it's all at your fingertips. Whatever you prefer, you can definitely have it.
yeah, it's all available. So thank you
Okay.
so much. Thank
Thank
you
you.
everyone for being here.
Yes,
28 visitors
that's
and
amazing.
friends. Some we know, some are new friends.
Yes.
And, yeah, so maybe we'll see, some of you in Italy. I can't tell, like, exactly all who's here, but yeah. Yeah, we still have some space available, and
Come
it's
check it out.
happening.
Yes.
Yeah,
And if you
check
have
it out.
questions, reach out. We are here, for anything that you might need to know or logistics. Just reach out.
Yeah, yeah, it's very close to Rome, so just get your yeah, we'll help you get to Rome and then to the workshop space, and so nice. Okay,
Okay. Bye
nice
bye.
talking to you, Gudrun. Bye-bye. Bye,
Thank you
everyone.
so much. Bye.